Hoopin with Christy and Debbie. And as my good friend Christy always says, hello, everybody. I don't know if I said it with the right inflection or not, but that's the way you say it, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the crazy lifestyles that we lead. I'm home right now. Where are you?
I am in Chicago for the Big Ten Media Days. So, women's was yesterday, men's are today. And oh my gosh, just walking around all that energy yesterday. I could not sleep. You know me, Debbie, I'm a wiggle worm. And I'm just ready for the season to get started with the 4 new teams coming in and all of the previous coaches just ready to go. It's just been so much fun to get to know the new ones a little bit better, but also, see that little fire behind everyone's eyes. They're ready for
Yeah.
it to start. So,
What were the big takeaways? Like, was Juju walking around like paparazzi with cameras and lights following her everywhere? How was it? Juju Watkins is one of the top players in the country. Everybody's got their eye on her.
yeah, it was only me following her around with my phone. No, I'm just joking. No, she had her whole USC group there, and it was so much fun just to see them in the hallways and crossing paths with them, giving them some hugs and welcoming them to the Big Ten, and ready to get it started. But no, she didn't have like an entourage or anything. She just had their own crew from the school and all. But it was just really fun to talk to them and sit in some interview rooms. And Lauren Betts, I got to sit and talk to her for a long time. And wow, just what a dynamic group
Yeah.
of women. I'm just so thrilled for them to be hooping at this time, and women's basketball and for our game. It's just so healthy to see that and the opportunities that they have been afforded because of where they are in the game right now. So it's just fun, and I'm thrilled for them.
I'm excited about it too. And, the 4 new teams, UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington coming into the Big Ten. Unfortunately for me, ESPN doesn't have the rights to the Big Ten, so I won't get to cover very many of those games unless they're on the road playing in a non-conference environment. How about you? You're going to be a full slate of Big Ten on the Big Ten Network.
Yes, full slate on both sides. So for the men, I probably do a lot fewer men's games, but I'm on the full slate for the women's side. And, with the teams being East Coast, West Coast, we have a couple of broadcasters that are West Coast based. So that's going to be fun too. And, you never get to see a lot of the broadcasters because, Debbie, as you know, we're always doing something at the same exact time.
Right.
So, like Elise Woodward, like I've been watching her for years, the Seattle color analyst, and she's on board because of the Pac-12 group that she was previously in before the league went away. And then Krista Blanc, who is the play-by-play for the Las Vegas Aces. She is also on board, as well as Cindy Brunson. And so it's just really going to be a lot of fun to, obviously see everybody like that in the media days. And then we all run the globe for the season. So yeah, super fun.
I'm so happy for them. Elise, Krista, and Cindy, I consider all to be friends. I'm glad they were able to, latch on, because that would have been a shame. People don't think about that part of it when the league goes away, but we know those are friends of ours that have been in the business a long time alongside us,
Yes.
helping promote this great game. What were 1 or 2 or 3 big takeaways from the Big Ten?
Well, for me, I think it was, sitting in the interview room with Hannah Stolke. She is on the Iowa women's basketball team, made 2 solid runs to the Final Four and championship games and all of that. But she said, and it's documented, so it's not like I'm sharing any secrets here. If I ask her, is there one thing that, you feel when you don't see Iowa in the top 5 preseason for a Big Ten after making 2 runs to the Final Four? And she was like, we don't like that.
I remember there were some people that did pick Iowa not to finish in the top 5 last year in the Big Ten. So look what happened to that. I mean, they doubted Caitlin Clark. Why would you do that?
Why would you do that? And then even still, I mean, I think that is going to be something to look for, right? To see Iowa obviously with Lisa Bluter's retirement, Jan Jensen stepping in. And I asked her also, like with Jan Jensen, with her being an associate head coach and her jump to head coach, what feels different? And she's like, nothing. Like it's, the culture is set in
Right.
and I walked away with that. And then Brenda Fries, she also said, every game is going to be like an NCAA tournament game. And I thought that was one of the most profound statements of the day. And it's going to be like that. If you think about the Big Ten, 7 teams, Debbie, last year went to the NCAA tournament. But then when you add USC that went to the Elite 8, and then you add UCLA at Sweet 16, I mean, that's 9 teams right there. So 9 teams going in out of 18. So half the league can go into.
Yeah, I see it. I can see it.
Maybe 10. So I just think the depth stood out to me. The depth of excellence in coaching, as well as the talent on the floor. It's going to be really fun. And those are the 2 main things, but there are so many things, but I want to take up the whole pod.
Oh, I'm happy to listen. I think this is what we do. You and I just have conversation. People should know we have nothing scripted, nothing written down. We don't plan in advance. We don't talk before we get here. We just do it, right? Yeah. It's just what we do. It's fun that way. It's real conversation.
Oregon, the Oregon piece is big for me.
Yeah.
Too. If just my last little, my third little nugget here, they had a lot of transfers, right? And Kelly Graves, they had a little fireside talk, and they had 3 coaches up at a time, which I thought was masterful. And they were sitting and talking just like you and I, right? And it was just very genuine, conversational, but it was real. And Kelly Graves was talking about, hey, I'm used to, just wearing a pullover and some sneakers. I'm not being so dressed up Big Ten, but I guess, I can make the change, and he was so funny. But he was on with Terry Morin, head coach at Indiana, who has one of his players, right, that transferred.
That's right.
And he was just kind of like, well, the question was about the transfer portal and if you like it or, the dynamics of that. And he was like, well, I mean, I'm all for players being happy. And if they need to go somewhere else to do that, I'm fine with that. However, now I have to go back in the portal to fill a lot of holes on my team. And he kind of like had Terry sitting to his right. And it was pretty funny. But it was like, oh, snap. And everybody kind of like leaned back like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's good.
We heard what you said. But it was, it was all love. And it's, they have great reverence for one another, all of the coaches. So it's just where we are in the game with the NILs and the transfer portal and, just a lot of movement like that in the Big Ten. For sure.
We can, I think there's a lot of college conversation here that we could take over our podcast. Southern Cal and UCLA preseason early top 10, Maryland picked in the top 5 again, Brenda, rebuilding, as you mentioned, Coach Fries. Just a little bit of news for me because my phone was like blowing up yesterday when the NCAA announced that in 2027, we are actually taking a regional to Vegas. So you know how I feel about that. I mean, I'm trying not to be cynical or snarky about it, but only about 2 decades late. But yes, we are going to Vegas with the college game. I'm glad the NCAA finally, and they're going to say, well, Vegas, this and that. And I know the truth. One day I'll write it all in my book one day when I tell the truth about Vegas. Because right now I can't. I don't want to get fired.
See? Well, look what happened though. Vegas, Debs.
Finally. I mean,
you've been calling for them to do it.
It's not exactly the way I had it, but what it brings up in conversation is a disruption in our marketplace, right? And that's what Clarkonomics has been. That's what Caitlin has been. And this was the disruption in our game that I was calling for more than 15 years ago, was to give us a wow and a pop. So finally we're getting there, and that's for another day. And that'll all be in my book one day when I actually sit down and have time to write it. Let's go from the college space, because we'll have plenty of time to dive into that. But let's talk about the playoffs in the WNBA. New York is up 2-0 heading to Vegas, a split with Minnesota and Connecticut. Let's start with New York and Vegas. Christy, what do you see? What have you seen? What do you like? What do you not like?
Oh boy, what a series, right? Just a 4-point loss for the Aces, and in the words of our great friend B Mac, aces in the hole too.
Aces in the hole.
Aces in the hole. But I think it's more. Everyone's thinking about the offense, right? And I think it's more defense. I think it's more defense. I think in terms of being a concern for me, especially in that last game, and I just think that when you look at New York and how they get you in rotation, especially along the left baseline, I want to know the analytics of their slip and finish out of that dunker spot, short corner slip area. And they put multiple players in that action. And I don't know. It's the Aces are just having a struggle covering that particular space. And when you think about it, just a 2-possession loss. You do that better 3 times, you win. And it seems like more often than not, they're scoring in that. And what happens is they put you in full rotation and you don't drop quickly enough along that lane line, and they're right at the rim. Like they put John Quell in that. They've inverted it. Sabrina gets that cut. And if Stewie gets it, she's so long, even if you meet her at the rim, she's going to finish over top of you. And her shots are well contested. And so it's not like, well, they're not in the right place all the time, even though that action, I'm always looking for that. And I'm like, oh, they got it again. Okay. But for me, it's when you have a player like Stewie who you can contest with the high hand with one of the best defenders in the league in Asia Wilson. And she can still flip her fingertips and break her wrist over top of your outstretched hand and knock in a shot like no one's standing there, like it's a drill. That's different. It's different. Like you become a cone and crazy, and it's gonna be you're a cone defensively, and that's not a knock on Asia. She's doing exactly what she needs to do. I'm just saying the ability for Breanna Stewart to score anyway is exceptional.
I think you get to the playoffs and you can't change some of your habits, right? This is a Vegas team that has been talking about the same things all season. Becky has actually had to call 2 quick timeouts because their defense, to your point. I take from a treetop look at it. I thought Vegas started the game being very physical, picked up a lot of quick fouls in the first quarter, put New York to the line. I thought it helped New York get into rhythm. If you want to be that physical, I think you have to maintain that physicality all game. But I do agree with starting the game like that to put the tone and the tenor of the game at that level to start. I'm not all about physicality. I do like freedom of movement. I say all the time, there's 3 spots on the floor that you can be physical: on the glass, in the post, point of screening action. The rest of it should be jump to the ball and cut. And I'm a big believer in that, just because I like offense and I want our game to be not a grinded out like what we're seeing with Connecticut and Minnesota. It's been a very physical matchup, which we knew it would be. There's a couple of things here that I'm curious about because, when you have 12 teams and you study the teams as much as we do, we know, Washington's best and worst, and I know Indiana's best and worst. And because we've been around the league for a long time. The one thing about Vegas that I'm curious about, that I'm putting out there into the space, and maybe somebody will look it up for me. Asia is so good, and she can be put in so many places on the floor and have an impact. It's not just her with the ball, it's her presence without the ball as well. But there's one area on the floor that you want to push her right. She's so good. She can score going right, but you want to play the analytics. So if you let her drive down the left lane line, which is either going to result in 2 points and 1 or 2 free throws.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know the analytics would say never help off the strong side corner.
Yes.
Right? Because you don't want somebody to drive down the lane line, see help, and kick. Well, I'd like to know if Asia can make that pass. I'm assuming she can. I haven't seen it. Now, if somebody has seen it, maybe they can let me know. I'm just saying, you got to take something away. And she's so good. Okay. So people that are listening to this are not going to, understand what I'm saying here. I'm giving her the ultimate respect. I've never seen a 6'5" woman with the kind of fitness and skill set combined. I've never seen it. So we've watched Asia grow up. She was here in Columbia. I've watched her. She's amazing. All right. But if you're going to get into the nitty gritty of it, I want to see what would happen. Not on the first dribble, but her second dribble. If you pinch off that corner and double, can you turn her into a passer on that action? Because I'm curious, can she make that? She's not going to make this pass, right? The down the lane line over the pitch back. We haven't seen that either. When she goes hard. I'm just wondering if anybody can give me some analytics on that, because I'm curious. She doesn't draw charges, so she's got great body control and balance. But what if you did pinch? Just one thing, because you're talking about, you got to manipulate the 5 with Vegas. Yes. Kia Stokes is going to make shots, but the analytics would say don't guard her. Nobody guards her. If you're coming down the left side and there's a ball screen and you're going right and Kia Stokes is on that now becomes a strong side, her help's going to be sitting in the lane. Yes. You got to get that help out of the lane. So instead of having her down screen and move so that you bring that help is not going to move. Right. So if you're coming down, if you go left to right, crossover ball screen and Kia, you got to move Kia to the other side of the floor. Yep. You have to constantly manipulate her help. Otherwise, it is 5-on-4 and it's an issue. So I'm watching, how does Vegas manipulate the help? You got to open up the lane, and her defender is sitting in the lane. I'm sorry, but that's, Vegas, this is one of their habits. It's what they've done all year. So, when you get into the nitty gritty of breaking things down, these kinds of things, these details are decisions that coaches have to make that are hard choices. And if you're going to help, not every time off the strong side drive, once in a while, mix it in. I mean, I'm just looking for a little basketball X and O here. I think Asia and Stewie are two, I want to say unguardable, but we know you could load up your D to just stop them, and then others are going to have to. So you can guard them if you decide to do that. I don't know if that makes sense because of all the other talent around them, but you got to you got to pick and choose. And these are things I'm looking for. I'm looking for this in the game on Friday night, and I want to see. And then on the other side, I think Minnesota gave one away. I think Connecticut is, very solid, but I think Minnesota and Nafisa Collier, she hasn't had that big game. I watched her put 38 and 42 on the board, and I'm waiting for that night to come. I think that night might be Friday.
Yeah. Oh, she's a machine, man. She's unstoppable, obviously, with putting up numbers like that. But no, I would like to see that action too, just to see what would happen, right?
Right. Curious.
And it's so tough. It's so tough. It's very intriguing, but it's so tough as a coach, as you know, to change things at this juncture of the year, right? And like you said, the habits are so difficult to break, and you don't want to reinvent the wheel at this point, but you do have to create a change. And it doesn't have to be monstrous. And like you said, it doesn't have to be every single time, but you do have to see what the reaction will be from your opponents. And I know these games are possession based, and possession loss. It's exactly like gamble and lose in terms of the war of possessions. But at the same time, what would they do if we tried this? And
once in a while, we always talk about situations from an offensive lens. And I had this great conversation with Nate Tibbetts at Phoenix when I was in Minnesota for the first round of the playoffs. And it was about that, situational offense, which he is the best. New York is second by the analytics on ATOs and baseline out of bounds, those situations like that. His teams score the most points per possession. And New York's right behind him. And I asked, we had this conversation about ATOs from a defensive lens, because not only do you have a chance to execute exactly what you want to do offensively, but you also have a chance to execute in one possession defensively something different. So if your ball screen coverage is this, maybe for one possession you try that, or if you just change it up, like do something for one possession different, show zone for one possession, maybe trap the wing for one possession, maybe not ice because they think you're going to ice. They're coming off the timeout. They think they know what you're going to run. Usually we talk about situations on defense at the end of games, like somebody calls timeout, you give a team a chance to change their D. Do you want to do that or not? I think that's something that I'm looking for more in the series as well. What are the coaches doing after timeouts on the defensive end?
Right. And when I was coaching, I would love that, right? If you force your opponent to call a timeout and then they're going to come back and expect you to be like in the same set or doing the same thing, I'll blitz them right away.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trapping dribble outs. I'm trapping the ball handler. I'm trapping pick and rolls, or just a really hard hedge, just something different to change it up, right? You're already struggling because we went on like, I don't know, a 6-0 run or something like that, force a timeout. And then we're not just going to walk back out there and do the same thing, right? You have to be crafty in terms of your decision making. And I think a lot of that, like I said, to start this conversation about this game or this matchup, is about defense, right? And you gotta be strategic. Yes, you have to be smart. Yes, you have to trust your team and their ability to execute. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, you got to do some trial and error. And as difficult as that may be, especially in the playoffs and now in an elimination game, you don't want to be too chancy. But I think one time, let me see what it looks like. I'm super curious too and very intrigued. And I was one of the coaches that threw the kitchen sink at you. I don't care. Like, even if we hadn't practiced some stuff, Debbie, hey, listen, these two kids are killing us. We got to go triangle and two. Assistant coaches were like, hey, we've never done that. I was like, I don't care. We need to do it. And we did it in one. And then the press was like, oh, that triangle and two looked really good. I was like, we never practiced it. I trust my kids, with defensive.
There it is. Right.
Defensive principles and let them go. And they rocked out in the second half and we won.
Same with me this summer. Every time out we changed. It might have been a small, little slight thing, but if we changed and we got a steal, then you stay in it the next possession. And then we go back and trying to get kids to understand that. It makes them think the game. The other thing too is, I know teams that on this side of the floor, we're going to play this ball screen coverage. On this side, we're going to do that. And it can vary by personnel or it could just be system. The other thing is, if you score, we're going to be in this defense. If I score, we're going to be in a different defense. And I know coaches that do that. Just the unpredictability, the unscoutability as our game goes into positionless and, perimeter size and positional size are really big factors now. You see positional size playing a role for Connecticut. They don't have 6'7" in the middle, but they're big and strong on the perimeter. And that's a problem for a lot of teams. Vegas, Jackie Young, pound for pound. There's nobody stronger. She's a problem on the defensive end. She can manipulate, blow up ball screen. There's, I can't believe I'm spending this much time on defense, but it is stuff that you think about from a coach's perspective on the floor and what your risk reward is. What are you willing to try? I think Becky is going to roll the dice on a few things. I do think that. I think, first of all, effort is one thing that I think she's challenging her team about on the defensive end.
Yeah.
And all the layups that have been discussed. But New York runs great stuff. New York's got great balance. I don't think they're going to play a softer cover because I don't think that's in their DNA. But I do think that there's going to be some hard fouls at the rim. I think there's going to be some challenges in the paint. And I think, if you're waiting to the fourth quarter to get the ball to Asia Wilson, it's going to be too late.
You cannot do that, man. She needs early touches. She needs at least 5 touches per quarter, period. And that's minimum. 5 touches. And that's for shots, not for her to be a passer, right? She needs 5 shots per quarter attempts.
The thing that I've said about Vegas that I have admired all season is they do have a lot of alphas on that team, but they have the chief alpha and they have recognized that she's taken the most shots all season, as she should, right? But all of a sudden we're in the playoffs now and, they got to get back to what everyone likes to say. The main thing is the main thing.
Business.
If they want to,
Yeah.
send this thing, which they certainly have a chance to, but I like New York. I picked them. I was on the betting show
Oh,
the other day. I picked New York. I picked Minnesota. Um, I just think that's what we're going to see in the finals.
yeah. Is that based on their ability to defend Vegas the way that they have New York?
I picked New York because I think they've been the best team all year, and I think they have a little chip on their shoulder. I knew playing 2 games at home in New York would give them an advantage. I also said the big lineup because Vegas goes small, and we don't know what Kia Stokes' situation is yet.
Right.
But I think they have a hard time handling the big lineup. In New York with 6'6", Jonquel Jones is subtly just doing her job well. Nothing spectacular or fancy, just really playing well.
Yeah.
Everybody's made a big deal about Phoebich. Courtney Vandersloot has handled all that well. I just think Brianna Stewart is so talented on the offensive end that's a tough matchup for everyone in the league.
Yeah, very true. And I think even in that other series as well, like in the Minnesota series, that has been contentious as it should be, very feisty.
Yes.
But just closing off the New York series with Vegas, Becky Hammond said it's tough to three-peat. That's exactly why it's tough to three-peat, because it's not that Vegas is satisfied with winning 2 in a row, right? But when you lose, there's just a different edge that you bring to the court. And she was alluding to that and how New York played both of those games in that way.
I don't think there'll be distraction. There'll be no distraction. You could say Kelsey Plum's banter with Spike Lee back and forth can be considered a distraction. I don't know as a teammate how you feel about somebody, but I know, hey, it's part of the entertainment value if that's what Kelsey wants to do. But I think there will be no distraction. And I think Asia will, at some point, if she hasn't already, she'll put her foot down and say, that's it. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's tried to do it before, but now it carries more weight because it is elimination. And then on the other side, I'm just intrigued by a couple of Notre Dame guards going at it, McBride and Mabry. I was like, whoa, wonder what Muppet's doing right now.
Clapping at the screen. I know Muppet is like having a time eating popcorn and grinning and just so pleased, I'm sure, and proud, right? It's just very beautiful to see that, right? That dynamic of coaches watching their kids playing in the pros. But that game, man, Courtney Williams is going at it with Mabry, and it was just fun. And Courtney Williams was talking about it afterwards. She was just like, hey, we just said, we like it physical. It's fine. And going back, we love each other. It's all respect at the end of the day. But we're competitors. We're competitors. And so, it's the same with Spike and Kelsey Plum, right? Kelsey Plum said, talk to me. I like that bleep, right? Keep talking to me. Like, I like that. Like, so I don't know, maybe that gives her edge, right? Everybody's different in that way.
Right.
And a lot of it's self-talk, but some of it's like that. So it is what it is.
We I was going to dive into expansion, but we're not going to do it now because quite honestly, I have no idea what the rules are, who's restricted, who's unrestricted, who's court, who isn't, who's getting protected, who isn't. Let's just wait, because the thing that I am concerned about with expansion draft is, where are the Valkyries? And I think that's the first time I've ever said that mascot out loud, the Valkyries. Where are they going to get a pick in the draft? Because that is going to be interesting and frustrating for some because they're going to get bumped ahead, and there are some good players in this draft. And then, we're going to do this again. Like how many expansion drafts are we going to have? I'm in favor of, hey, throw all the teams in there at the same time. Let's do one expansion draft. Let's clean up the CBA because this year they're all going to sign. Players are just going to sign 1-year deals. Nobody's going to get past the CBA's collective bargaining agreement, which is coming up, right? You don't want to get past that with your contract because you might miss out on some money.
Yeah.
And it's not monopoly money. It's real money. So we're like, I don't know. Smarter people will figure that out, but I don't like, this year 1, next year 2, then we're going to have some more after that. Like there's enough people out there
Right.
that are prospecting for a franchise that have the money to be able to do it. Let's just do it.
Right.
Take them all right now. We can have,
I like that.
I mean, we can have 3 divisions. We can have 3 divisions. Let's just do it. The olders and the new ones. Put the new ones in a new division and let them battle it out for a couple of years.
I like that.
Just throw the new ones in a whole division separate. What do you think, Christy?
I like that. I hadn't thought about it like that, but I like that. I like
If
that.
you took Toronto or Canada, whatever, the Valkyries, right?
Okay.
The who's the other one that they just had? Portland.
Yeah.
Okay. Charlotte, Philly,
Houston.
Okay. There's others. Des Moines, Iowa is. I said Charlotte, right?
Charlotte. And who?
Charlotte, Philly.
Yep.
Des Moines.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear little rumblings out there. Let's put all of them right now in a division.
Yeah.
Make some rules around the CBA. Keep the other 12, okay? And make 3 divisions and let's work on building the product, because it's going to take a little hit when you go expansion. You do have a little drop off.
Right.
There's going to be a slight drop off. The product's so good right now. That's why the valuation on all these franchises is so high. Let's make a 3rd division. Let's throw them all in there. Let's get to the CBA. Let's move that up a year or whatever. I don't know how all that works, but smarter people can figure it out. But
yeah,
let's do it. Bang.
I like it.
Time.
They said bang, bang. I like it. Just like your shot. I saw you shooting out there. Bang.
Diana Taurasi bucket list.
I saw that.
I was, let me just tell you what happened. I was out, so Minnesota finished their shoot around. I was out there shooting around. Phoenix is starting to come in. Their staff's coming in. The players are in the locker room. So I'm out there with Monica Wright, and I'm out there with the staff, and I'm out there saying, I'm shooting free throws, and I am talking trash. And I am like, I know Diana Taurasi's in the back right now because she's watching me and she's afraid to come out here. She don't want to come out here and mess with me at the free throw line. I know DT's, and I was just yap. Well, here she comes. And then I was like, ooh.
You were like, sip and throw.
So yeah, shut up. I was like, DT, did you hear me? Did you hear me while you're back? She says, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, come on, rebound for me a little bit. And she goes, all right. So she said, I got 2 balls. And then, she wants to play for money next time. I said, I'm in.
Okay. Do that. It was so, you guys.
It was amazing. She was so gracious. And I mean, I've known Diana since she was in high school, so it was fun to mess around with her a little bit. And I said, come on, I got to get playoff ready. Rebound for me at the free throw line.
Playoff ready is it. Oh,
the other thing too, Christy, I'll say another bucket list item happened for me this week. I was at South Florida and I did my media training team building exercise, which I've done for decades at different places.
Excellent.
And one of the things that Jose Fernandez in his 25th year at South Florida, we spent a lot of time. You mentioned Courtney. We had a great conversation about Courtney Williams, how much we've watched her grow and mature and what a great job she's doing as the lead guard, not the point guard. And they were having practice and he was out there going through a portion of practice where he was drawing up a play and they had executed. And I'm in the huddle. I mean, he's giving me full access. I'm in the staff meeting. I'm in the huddles. This is a great learning environment for me. I'm listening, watching the players. They're going to have a really good team, by the way. They'll probably be picked to win their league. They'll be really strong. And I was like, you gonna let me draw play? He's like, you want to draw play? I drew 3 sets. They executed. We got fouled on 2 of them. I'm like, Jose, you just ruined it for every other coach in America. Because now when I go in the gym, I'm going to want to draw play and practice. And I know it ain't happening.
Can I get the whiteboard for a second?
Coach, can I just, they're going to look at me like, Antonelli, get the hell out of here.
Get a bell, like ding, 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 ding.
My turn. Yeah, it was funny.
I love it. I love it. That was super cute. Oh my God. I saw you out there hooping it up, man. That was so good. But I love DT and who knows what's going to happen there. We haven't heard anything, but
No, but I mean, I can make an argument for There's no difference between 42 and 43.
Oh.
And we don't talk about Alicia Clark's age. She's one of the older players in the league, right? And we always talk about how, Alicia's story is great because she led the nation in scoring 2 years in a row at Middle Tennessee State. She comes into the league. It's a struggle to make a roster. She plays D. Not that she was a bad defender in college, but she wasn't known for that, right? She was known, I'd rather her rest on that end of the floor so she could light it up on the other end. And she, now she's become this lockdown defender. Well, when she's wide open from three, she's going to make it. I mean, like you can't help off of her. She's too good. But we don't talk about her age, like we talk about DT.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know. I think what we don't see is what Diana said is the 7 steps that she has to do every day to be able to get herself on the floor, from pool workout to acupuncture to massage to, ice to heat to, she had a list of things and she does those every day. And then when she practices, she still does those every day. So her recovery is something that, probably only Tom Brady can understand.
Man, well, we need to do those 7 steps for these media days that we have coming up. I need to write those down because we got the gauntlet, Debbie, is coming up. I know you're going to be on the move in a minute, right?
I am. I've got quite an exciting schedule in October, which I really do, but I've got a lot of media days, but I'm leaving my home on the 5th. And I don't think I'm going to be back until like
Halloween.
Maybe the weekend before. I don't know. It's gonna be fun though. It's all good stuff. I'm not complaining. It's what I choose to do. I love it. I'm doing it. It's all good, and I'm ready.
Same. It's spooky time, spooky hours. Halloween coming up. We're gonna be on the run, on the move, and doing what we love, right? Oh, super fun.
All right. Well, I think we've gone long enough. Time to out. We got to be out.
We gotta go. We gotta go home. And well, you don't have to go home, but we gotta get out of here. That's what they say, right? We gotta cut the lights off. But oh my God, always special to be with you, honey.
Christy, if our listeners can tell me what the difference is between this, I'd like to know. Last call, nightcap, one more.
I don't know the answer to that. What's the difference?
I don't know. Let's see if our listeners can tell us. Some people have, last call. Some people get a nightcap. Some just have one more.
Okay. Well, which one are you?
I'm not telling right now.
Either, because.
All right. We'll have. We got to go. We've had enough. That's enough.
No nightcaps.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here. Hey, I'm Christy Winter-Scott. That's my girl, Debbie Antonelli. Oh, baby, I love you so much. Safe travels to you, my love, and we'll see you soon somewhere in the gym.
You got it.
Bye, babies.